Priceline.com has included a terms and conditions document on their website. This is an agreement that is legally binding for anyone who visits the site. The agreement between a person who enters the site and Priceline.com LLC automatically goes into effect as soon as a user accesses the site. The statement at the beginning of the terms and conditions reads, "By accessing any area of this site, users agree to be legally bound without limitation, qualification, or change, and to abide by these terms and conditions, which will constitute our agreement." Then it goes on to say that if you do not wish to agree to these terms, that you must stop using the site. Priceline also reserves the right to modify and amend this agreement at any time that is deemed necessary. The altered terms become effective as soon as the date that they are posted on the website. This does constitute a valid contract. It spells out many details of what all it entails throughout sections A through F. Visitors to the site are legally bound to this agreement just by visiting the site. They do not have to click on a button or check a box that states, "I agree." This is described on the first page of the terms and conditions. This type of terms and conditions is sometimes known as a shrink wrap agreement. This term is derived from the days when software was more commonly sold as a hard copy disk inside a box that is wrapped in plastic. The end user license agreement then went into effect as soon as the plastic wrap was torn off of the box and the white sealed envelope was opened with the software inside. The EULA was written out on paper inside of the envelope, and there is a message written in all caps that said that the user was bound by the terms of the agreement as soon as the sealed disk package was opened. Even when software is distributed through the internet, these shrink wrap licenses go into effect as soon as the download is complete. The same goes for loading a web page from Priceline.com or other sites with this type of agreement. When the agreement applies to a website, it is known as a browse wrap agreement. It is sometimes uncertain whether browse wraps can be enforced since there is no digital signature or click of a box to confirm the user's willingness to agree to the contract as there would be in a click wrap agreement. Browse wraps have been enforced, though, in past situations. Some of these cases include Ticketmaster Corporation versus Tickets.com Incorporated and Register.com Incorporated versus Vario Incorporated, which both occurred in 2003. So, visitors to a site with a browse wrap style agreement do not have to click "I agree" for it to be legally binding. However, it may take more effort in court to enforce a browse wrap as opposed to a click wrap. When a user has a dispute with Priceline, there are a few routes that can be taken to bring resolution to the situation. The mandatory arbitration clause in the Terms and Service Agreement states that any and all claims must be resolved by binding arbitration or in small claims court. It also prohibits users from pursuing a class action lawsuit or a similar proceeding anywhere. If a person does wish to use the AAA to help resolve the dispute, they must follow a specific set of steps and guidelines to get the process going. Priceline provides an address for their legal department where a third party, who is a user, has to send a written notice of dispute. If the company and the disgruntled user cannot come to an agreement within 60 days, then the arbitration proceedings will commence. Priceline states that there is an exception to arbitration in that a user retains the right to pursue a dispute in small claims court in whatever federal judicial district where one of the parties involved has an address within that court's jurisdiction. According to the agreement, if one files a claim that is contrary to this section, it will be considered to be filed improperly and become void. It is also possible to give written notice to Priceline within 30 days of a purchase that a third party does not want to accept the binding arbitration provision. Then, if this notice is given by certified mail, Priceline will not allow that party to continue purchasing its products and services until further notice. This implies that if a company is important enough to Priceline, they may let them continue conducting business on the website even if they do not agree to the binding arbitration provision. So, if they are such an important firm to Priceline as to meet these criteria as a third party, it would be able to sue them in civil court if it was deemed necessary. While this agreement is rather thorough, there are some additions and changes that would improve its effectiveness. The document could include provisions focused on subjects such as cyber attacks, server malfunctions, natural disasters, and other emergencies such as worldwide pandemic. Although these subjects are more often found in an insurance policy, they are relevant to situations including disputes that may arise between Priceline and third-party users of its site. If many of the users' data is compromised from a cyber attack, some disputes would almost certainly arise. If the site stopped loading without warning, it could prevent someone from completing important travel plans and cause a dispute. The unpredictable effects of natural disasters could cause a number of problems for Priceline and its users that might discontinue use of the site or make it difficult to contact one another. This could create conflict in the future when lines of communication reopen. Another unexpected situation, such as a worldwide pandemic, could cause there to be many unhappy campers on either side of the spectrum. Disputes could arise when certain suppliers or customers discontinue their involvement or have their involvement discontinued from the need to balance a shifting budget that may have stemmed from a decrease in international travel. It may be wise for Priceline to consider adding clauses that cover these possibilities when they next revamp the terms and conditions for Priceline.com.